Hey friends, hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. I'm Lisa Hetrick. Holy smokes, it's been a summer, hasn't it? Okay, so I see everybody popping in. I see Kathy, Rhonda, a couple of you guys have been in there in the chat before we went live talking a little bit about storms, which yeah, it's been that kind of a summer too. It's been a little bit bonkers with storms. So kind of fun to see everybody popping in today. Okay, today is the day after. So I've never gone live the day after when my stamp set releases with Gina K. But we're going to do it today. Okay, so today is a little bit different. We're going to do a washy watercolor card. We're going to do something easygoing. It's been a couple weeks since I've gone live. I was supposed to go live last week. I was ready, armed, all dressed, ready to go. All the camera stuff was working and I had a power blip. So I had some issues. So I have some new technology going on. So what you can't see behind is like all of these different things that are happening so that I can start to improve our lives, do lives a little bit longer, and do some really cool things down the road. So today, I see everybody popping in. I'm just going to say a quick hello. Hello, Phyllis, Dawn, Kathy, Janny. I should put my glasses on. Catherine, everybody's popping in and saying hello. Okay, I am going to go through my new stamp set with Gina K Designs. If you missed the release party last night, no worries. I'm going to go through it today, and we're going to do an easygoing card just to kind of get back into the lives and talk a little bit about, I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that are coming too. So we're going to have like a little chatty chat and a little stamping, a little bit of watercoloring, and a little bit of funsies along the way. Also, one other point I wanted to note is that I know that I wore this shirt the last time I did a live. So if you were with me last time and I did a live, you might recognize the shirt. So, you know. Okay. All right, friends, let's go ahead to the overhead cam. I do have all of the supplies linked down below in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, and it looks like the majority of you are watching on YouTube, the links are down below in the description. Also over on Facebook, the links are down below in the description there as well. I finally figured that out. So if you're watching it there or you're watching it on the replay, it's there. I see, hi Krista. Dawn just shared, love your new stamp set. It's beautiful. Super fun. Okay, this stamp set, let's just go ahead to the overhead cam. Let's go down. Okay, I have a brand new overhead camera. Okay, friends. And I'm still working and tweaking out some of the bugs. So I'm hoping, and many of you caught like that Sunday live that I did where it was just kind of a hot mess of technology. I've been working on trying to adjust things ever since. So we may have some things that I need to adjust, but we'll just talk through it. This is all part of like the new technology and just kind of working through it. All right, the brand new stamp set with Gina K Designs is called Everyday Amazing. And this stamp set is number 3 in what I call the fruit series. I'm actually just going to put my face back up here. This is number 3 in the fruit series. So I have a couple different stamp sets in my Gina K Designs collection that are fruit related, right? So we have pomegranates. I've got the pears. These were the strawberries. So this is part of that fruit collection. And I can see the camera is doing a few little wonky things. So we're just going to roll with it. This is part of that fruit collection. I've also have added in this really oversized, larger diamond pattern that's going to be incredibly useful. Peek, 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 sneak, sneak, sneak down the road with some sets that are coming out. I'm also going to kind of share how to use this set today as a pattern maker. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. So here's the stamp set. Super fun, that I shared on the release last night. It's got different kind of leafery in it. It's got toppers for the strawberries. It also has these open line shapes that I heard a lot of people talk about last night, like that could double as leaves, which they totally could. But I have them, I predominantly designed them to be kind of like wonky retro looking strawberries. And I do have some other leafy, big leafy here, little leafy here. Okay, this set also has a coordinating die set. And before I forget, the link is down below in the description. If many of you know, I see everybody looks familiar to me in the chat, in the comments. I do this every month with every single stamp set release that I have. This is a card idea sheet that just gives you 8 card ideas in a sketch form that you can replicate and do. This sheet is free to you. The link is down below in the description. Also, if you're in the Gina K Designs group, you can head over there and grab it. The camera doesn't really like this. So see, I'm still making some adjustments to things on the camera as the lighting and things change, or as I move across it, it starts to do some different things. So we're just gonna give it a second to adjust. There we go. And be patient with me as I work these technology things out. So also last night I shared the different card samples. So if you missed that video, with the release video, it's here on my channel. You can watch it here, the complete walkthrough of the stamp set. And we'll be, of course, doing lives, and I'll be sharing some stamps, sharing some ideas along the way. But today, we're going to make this, and we're going to easy go back into doing lives since it's been a couple weeks. Now, these are the colors that I'm going to be using. I'm using Cherry Red, Innocent Pink, and this is Fresh Asparagus. I love it. We're going to be doing some watercoloring with these colors. I also have a watercolor set out. We're going to be using this. I just grabbed what was sitting on my desk, because I want to use Rose Red Deep, or I want to use a red color. And I want to use some of my greens. So I'm just going to be using this Da Vinci watercolor set of 24. And I've got a piece of watercolor cardstock here. The watercolor cardstock that I'm using is the Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor. That is linked down below in the description as well. Oh boy. Okay, we're going to have this happening. We're just going to keep rolling. And then I'm also using Jelly Bean Green. That's a piece of fresh asparagus that I cut wrong. So let's go ahead and bring this up so that you can see. Gina K Designs cut cardstock Jelly Bean Green. So I'm using that. Okay, I could see that the live is going to be super fun today and a little bit challenging. So let's get back to this. Okay, we're going to bear with me, friends, as I get this technology working. And every time I move and just trying to really lock in some of these focus issues that I've been having. So we'll get there. All right. Now we're going to get started with making the pattern on this card. Then I'm going to, once we finish the design of this card, I'm going to circle back and talk to you about making patterns with that long diamond shape. So everybody's so patient, saying no worries. Oh, hello, Phyllis. Phyllis just popped in with a good morning. It's good to see everybody. Okay. All right, we're going to get started with the larger leaf element that's in the stamp set. And we're going to stamp this out in the fresh asparagus. We're going to create that pattern, that like whimsical leaf-like pattern that's kind of going across the top and around. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to keep moving and see as we start to adjust. Just going to go ahead and stamp this out. I've got it coming off the edge here. And then, oh, that wasn't, and don't worry if you didn't get the best stamp impression, because we're going to be watercoloring this. I feel a little bit rusty in the lives too, because we haven't done one in a bit, but that's okay. All right. let's do a little tidy. And then I'm going to pop this in here. We're going to go in, and I've got a paintbrush here. Let's just move my card. See, we've got a lot of movement. So what's happening with my movement? I've got a paintbrush here, and I'm just going to start to activate that fresh asparagus. Now, we've done this on the channel many, many times. This is a really easygoing watercolor technique. I call these like watercolor-esque techniques. We're just activating the ink that's already there and just kind of moving it around a little bit and letting it do its thing. One of my favorite things about doing this with fresh asparagus, oh, look at that, is, let's see if we come in tighter, if we can just get a better focus. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Okay. Thanks for your patience, friends. I really have been working on these focus issues and this camera issue for, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been like 3 weeks that I've been working on this. So you can see I'm pulling that green out a little bit. I also don't want to do too much because I want to preserve some of this area right here for my pinks. Okay, so while that's wet, so this is wet into wet, and all we did was just dissolve the ink that's happening here with the fresh asparagus. And I'm going to bring this up a little bit and kind of turn it. Let's bring it up, turn it. I want you to, let's let that camera focus for a second. I want you to see that fresh asparagus has a lot of different kinds of ink in it, so you get a little bit of that yellow happening. I really love that. I love how it just bleeds too. Okay, let's bring that back down. I'm going to come in while this is still wet, and I'm going to grab some green from my watercolor set. Now, you don't even have to do this. I just want to be, I just want to add a little something extra. I've got this green here that's a little darker. I love it. I absolutely love it. I just want to drop a few drops in to the wet, and just, I'm going to coax it around a little bit. And I just, see how I'm just tapping it around? This is kind of just a washy, sloppy, wet watercolor. And I wanted to get some variation of that darks and lights and just kind of let that do its thing. Let that dry and do its thing. That particular green has a little bit of like a brown in it. So that's super helpful. Oh boy. Okay. Our whole live is going to be me struggling, I see, to get this camera to like stay in focus. So you guys are just awesome. Good to be patient with me. Okay, now while all of this is wet, this whole technique that we're doing here is wet into wet. So the brush is wet, the paper is wet, and I'm just letting the water flow into the areas that are wet. Now I dried off this area. I want to just kind of come in here with a little bit of water. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of, I brought that in and it doesn't like the focus. So that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to come in with this Red Rose Deep and just kind of drop some of this color in. I got a little bit of, there we go. Just drop a little bit of that in. Now that looks very alarming. Like it's a lot dropped in there. And I'm just going to start moving it around. I also have a little hair that was on the tip of the brush. So I'm just going to drop this in and just kind of let this do its thing. Move it around. Let's put a little bit up here and let that mix. Hi, Irma. Hi, Denise. Got lots of people popping in. Very cool. Very cool. How's everybody doing? It's been a wild summer. Okay. I've got that going. Just going to dry this up just a little bit. And I want to add a little bit more right in here to get a little more of a concentration of color. I'm just going to grab some. Now we could do this very easily with their inks. We're just being pretty super casual today. That's a lot. Put a lot of color in there. Yeet! That's a lot. Okay. I'm going to let it ride. Okay. Let's come in here. Dab some off. Just kind of let it be. Ah, Dawn just asked a really great question. What number brush are you using? Let's bring that up so that you can see. This is a number 10. So it's just a bigger brush. I'm also using the Princeton Heritage brushes. I do love these brushes. They hold a lot of water. My favorite brushes are the Silver Black Velvets. I know I've talked about that many times. So, but today I just grabbed these. Kind of making it a super casual day for our live. Now, I'm kind of digging the way this looks. I kind of want to leave it because I don't want to go overboard. But I've got a little bit of cherry red here. I'm just going to take a little bit of that cherry red ink. And I put it down on the glass mat. And I'm just getting it nice and wet. Now, this Gina K ink has smoothing agents in it because it's an ink. So it moves. It also will smooth out, but I really love that cherry red and I think it's really great for watercoloring. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of it right here and let it ride. You're welcome, you're welcome, Dawn. Now I'm going to let this dry. We're going to move on. I'm going to set this to the side. Okay. And let this dry. Because when this dries, when watercolor dries, it's bleeding into each other, and that's not bothering me. But when the watercolor dries, it's going to fade back quite a bit. We're going to lose a couple shades of it. It's going to fade back, and it's going to be less intense, especially this pink area. Now, if you also feel like when you've painted that you've gotten a little bit too much in, and you want to take some away, there's two ways to do it. You can use your brush and you can pull away the color. So you can see how I pulled away that color. And I'm just kind of popping it back in. Or you can take a clean paper towel and just dab it off a little bit. And you can take some of that color away. Okay. Okay. I'm going to move this to the side. And I'm going to bring in another piece of watercolor paper because we're going to focus now on the painting and creating the little strawberry. Now I'm going to ink this up with some Gina K. Just going to go straight up with some of the Gina K Cherry Red. And where did I put the ink? And I'm just going to go right in and start working on it. Excuse me. And lift away some of that color. So here's the cherry red. The cherry red doesn't, see how it doesn't dissolve as much as the other color, fresh asparagus did. But I am pulling some of that color with me. So that is working. Let's try to go in a little tighter and see what happens here. There we go. You can see that I'm pulling some of that color. Now, I am using the Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor. I'm going to bring in a little bit of my, let's take a peek at what we've got. We got a little bit of maroon here. Love that color. And a little bit of rose red. Let's go ahead and drop some of that in. Just going to drop that in and let it do its thing. So this is wet into wet technique, and I'm just going to let it go and let it just kind of do its thing. Coax it around a little bit. Just kind of get that concentration of that color right here at the top. Draw it out and draw it down. Let it be. Let it do its thing. I'm going to take some of that color, pop that in. Let it do its thing. So I've got a little bit of that red and I have a little bit of that pink. And I'm just going to, I'm not so worried about it going outside the lines. You can always work, we can always die cut this, or, oh boy, we can always die cut this, or we can hand cut it, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some fussy cutting. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow, just the tiniest bit of yellow, and pop that little tiny bit of yellow in there. Looks kind of like a hot mess. Let me get this to refocus. Oh boy, it's like our Sunday live all over again. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I will get this worked out. It's taken some time. I've done so many dry runs, like private dry runs of these videos, just to work this out. Got that little bit of yellow. I'm going to let that dry there. And then let our strawberry kind of dry and do its thing. All right, I'm going to pull this over to the side. We're going to let this, all of my watercolor pieces, just dry. And I've stamped out my, I've already pre-stamped out my topper for the butterfly. Now, there is a coordinating, not the butterfly, for the strawberry. I got butterfly on the brain. There is a coordinating die that goes with this. And we can use this to cut. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little fussy cutting because I want to get a little bit closer to the edge. So with the die, you get that little tiny edge that happens around it. I want to come in a little bit closer. So I'm going to hand cut this while everything dries. I'm bringing this back in to just kind of show you. See how this is starting to fade back a little bit? You can see that color is a lot less intense than it was. Everybody's laughing at me and the butterfly. It's so funny. I've done that like 3 times now with the strawberries. When I was shooting the video for the release party last night, I kept calling the strawberries butterflies. No less than 5 times. I'm just cutting this out. No less than 5 times, and had to reshoot what I was saying. Okay. Sorry, that's kind of blurry. I'm not sure why. There we go. Just following the shape and just going in and cutting this because I really just wanted this to be close. I enjoy fussy cutting. I know a lot of people don't. I do. I think it's kind of super therapeutic, and you can see I don't move the scissors as much as I move the paper. But I love the dies that come with that are available, that go with the sets. But I also like to get a really nice, because I like the stamps to be the star of the show, I like to get a really nice, closer cut sometimes. All right, we're going to put that over here to the side. I'm going to bring in a piece of, while I'm waiting for some of these elements to dry, because look at our strawberry. See all that color? I'm just moving it. I want that to dry really good. Might have to get the heat tool out for that one. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the larger diamond pattern that's in the set and how to use that to create a repeat pattern and then a double repeat pattern. So we're just going to walk this out with some color. Let's go ahead. Now this pattern, this diamond pattern is huge. So, you know, you kind of need a little bit of a big block. It's going to kind of go over the edge a little bit here. Or you can lay it down on your mat and you can put your paper to it. But I'm going to do it this way today and just kind of show you how you can stamp out that repeat pattern or that double pattern in the negative space. Boom, boom, boom. Let's start with red. I'm just going to red this up. We're going to start with some of the cherry red. Now, cherry red is one of my favorite colors with Gina K. It's one of my favorite reds that she has in her line. Well, one of the things I want to make sure you know is that it is a color that will stain your stamp. And if that bothers you, just keep in mind you have to work kind of quickly to make sure that you clean your stamp. I don't really care if my stamps get stained because that just means I'm using them and I'm loving on them. Catherine just shared, I love how you explain your thought process while you work. Thank you. I don't know that everybody should be up in my brain when I'm working because it is probably not a place for everyone to be. But okay, this piece of cardstock is larger because we can run it through the die cutter, but I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this down. You can see it fits a whole A2 size. So I stamp that down, and these little edges most likely will end up getting, these little edges right here will end up getting cut off when you run if you cut your piece of cardstock down. Because right now this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is your A2 size. So I'm going to come across, and it's really easy to line this up. You're just going to, I should turn it this way so that I can see what I'm doing. Really super easy to line this up. So you're just kind of eyeballing where your next diamond goes and then stamping it down. And then you've got that repeat pattern. I just love that. This pattern, and I'm just going to be honest, I said there was a little sneak about this. I'm setting you up, friends, with this pattern in this stamp set for the holiday season. I didn't include this design in the holiday stamp sets that I created that are coming out because I like to have stamp sets that work together and you got different bits and parts. So this is kind of setting you up for some other things. You're going to see this pattern again, not in this way. Oh boy. But you're going to see it again and you're going to be able to use it again many, many times over. Okay. So, all right. Camera's really being annoying. Let's pause out a little bit. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a pattern again in the negative spaces. Did you see that? My innocent pink fell out. I think it fell out last time too. And I just haven't glued it back in. I'm pretty rough with my supplies. Oh boy, I love these lives. How many, tell me in the chat, friends, how many lives do you watch that look like a lot more perfect than mine, right? Mine are real time. You're in my head. We're doing thoughts, like I'm doing stuff. I'm experimenting. Sometimes I practice things beforehand, but most of the time not. So I'm going to focus on our negative space here. And I'm going to just go right into the middle of that space and just go ahead and stamp that down. And you can see how I can get that double pattern. I can get that double line pattern happening right in that negative space. Now I kind of went over a little bit too far, but how cool is that? That is so fun. Now I'm going to flip this over real quick and focus a little bit on the edges of the pattern to just kind of show you. So the top of this pattern has that shape. The bottom of the pattern has the other side of that shape. So you would be able to go across if you are a scrapbooker, paper crafter, you want to do things that are larger than our card making size, you would be able to line that pattern up. Thank you, Peggy. Peggy just shared she loved this set. She ordered it last night. Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. You know what? I'm going to pop that comment up because it's so sweet. Kathy said, the perfect lives don't teach me as much. I would love to know who does a perfect live because actually my friend Kathy Z, I love her. Her lives are really, really good. Her and I have very similar styles, but in our lives, we kind of wing it a little bit. So I'm focusing on this. I just want to stamp that down so that you can see that part of that diamond pattern. So if you were, you know, using this stamp and going across a really long, like either vertically or horizontally version of the page, you would be able to line the bottom of that up. Like here's the bottom. You would be able to line this up. Hopefully I can see it well enough on my screen to make that work for you. You would be able to line this up and get that diamond pattern. It just really wants to keep moving because I keep moving it. Hopefully I'll get that. Let's see what happens. See how I can get that. I didn't line it up perfectly, but you would be able to line this up. This would be really good for you to put into the Misty too. So, and go across a larger part, like if you were doing a 12 by 12, or if you were doing something bigger, you would be able to do that. So that's what's really cool about these repeat patterns. So I have taught many times on this channel how to create patterns and create the illusion or the look of repeat patterns. But this particular stamp was intentionally designed to be a repeat pattern that you could go across your page and you could create that symmetry that you'd want to create in with your repeat. Okay, I'm going to bring this back in. Let's see where we are with this. See how we're feeling about that. And just kind of pop over here and take a look at the comments. Michelle just said, love your lives. They're peaceful to me. Perfectly imperfect. Totally imperfect. Yeah, and everybody's just kind of saying that. I'm glad that everybody feels like you get a lot of value or more on the teaching side versus the, here, let me show you all these products and how I'm popping them, how I'm pulling them together to make a card. I've been really like focused on trying to be less focused on making the card and more focused on like the mechanics of it, of doing the pieces, the watercolor and pulling it together in that way. So, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and I've got some Connect glue. Funny story. Less than 30 seconds before I went live, I sat down, I'm looking at my entire work surface and I'm like, I have no glue. I did not even bring over the glue. So I'm glad that I even caught myself beforehand to bring over the glue, because we would have gotten to this moment in the Craft Your Joy Live show and I would have been like, hey, I have no glue. Now I cut this this piece with the Master Layouts die to get that so that I got that edge. But you know, you could always, if you don't have the Master Layouts dies, don't freak out. You can always make these cuts on your trimmer. Super easy. Okay. Everybody's saying that's why they enjoy the videos teaching the techniques instead of watching a die cut machine. Yeah, I don't first of all, the die cut machine is great. I love it. But I don't really like for you to have to sit and watch it. So we don't do that because I also don't have another camera set up to do it. This is still a little bit wet. So I'm probably going to, let's go ahead and add a little more to this. And then I am going to figure out where I put my heat tool and bring that in. So stand by. Here we go. So did forget the heat tool. let's go ahead and plug this baby in. And we'll use it because we're going to add a little bit more red. We're going to have to force this dry. And then we're going to do a little stamping over top of it. All right, so the live is a little bit of a hot mess today. And I'm just grateful to all of you for bearing with me with this constant little issue I'm having with the focus. You would not believe how many YouTube videos I've watched on this particular technology to try and master this focus. So I have a brand new camera. It is a really nice one, and I'm getting adjusted to the lights and how this camera works. It is an intense camera. And I have to say a big shout out to my friend Kathy Z and others who have been like super helpful. But all of us have different studio spaces and all of us have different kind of setups. So I'm still learning how the camera is affected by the lights and how to make all this stuff work. So you guys have been everybody's been really cool with bearing with me the last couple times I've gone live, and it's been a little bit wonky. But you know what? I think that's what makes it fun. Take a little bit of yellow. I'm going to go back in and pop some of that yellow in there and let that kind of do its thing. I really want this space down here. Come on, camera. There we go. I really want this space down here to be less intense in the color as this space up here, because we are going to do a little bit of stamping. So let's see, I'm pulling away some of that color. Now, I also have a new microphone that I'm using for sound. So I'm also adjusting to some of the new sound issues that I'm having. So you guys are just awesome. All right, I'm going to take the heat tool, and hopefully it'll get a little bit, it won't be super, super loud. I'm going to dry this. See, I'm moving that water around a little bit. Remember, watercolor only wants to go where the water is. So you really can manipulate it. Look how I'm manipulating that. And I got a little bit of I'm going to pause. So I kind of manipulated that and dried that, but look at that hard edge. I don't want that. So I'm just going to go in and smooth that out. Just tapping that out with a wet brush. So if that happens to you and you get like some hard edges you don't want, just pause and take my brush and pull some of that color away. Who knew? This little strawberry. Krista just said these would make great rose petals. Holy smokes, Krista. You just gave me the best idea. Like if you look at the stamp set, you've got this, this, and this. These do have that rose petal shape. Hello, hello. These do have that rose petal shape. They would be really great that way. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program of Lisa constantly dealing with the focus of this camera. Oh boy. All right, let's dive in. There we go. All right, I pulled away some of this color just with my brush so I can get that white, get some of those whites back. This is still a little bit wet. That's okay. I'm just going to go in and just kind of zap it. Love that. I still have my darks happening here, and I have a little bit of those whites happening there, which is really nice. Now, I want to come in and do a little bit of over stamping. We've got the little seeds in the strawberries. Let's come in. Just going to go ahead and ink this up and then just add those seeds. I inked it up with the cherry red, add those seeds right there. Just over stamped right over top of the watercolor piece that we just did. And that really adds a lot extra. It makes this stamp the star of the show. It's going to be our embellishment. Adding those little seeds there just makes it super, super cute. I love it. Linda just shared, "You are a professional human. All is good." Thank you. That's so sweet. So sweet. Oh, good, good, good. Catherine just shared, "If your glass mat were a different color or had a colored cardstock under your work, the focus would happen faster because the camera." Yeah, you're right. You're right. I have been working with the glass mat, the white balance, and a whole bunch of other different things to play around with this, and even considering getting a black mat, black glass mat. So I'm working on it, but very good point, Catherine. Thank you so much. So there is a coordinating die for this, friends, that you can use. But I want this to be a closer shave, so to speak. So I'm going right to the edges of my cherry red stamp. And I'm just cutting this shape out. This is a really easygoing shape. So the die, if the die is not something that you're interested in, these shapes are very, very easy to cut out. Very easy to cut out. It's interesting about the black glass mat because I don't really love the black glass mat, but I am considering purchasing it so that I can try it out. I really like the white because I do a lot of watercolor on the mat and I want you to be able to see it. So, but you know, we are here to experiment and to try out new things. Now this is going to be my embellishment that's going to go on here. We're going to pop that up and pop that on. Ah, Linda just shared, maybe that's why Gina uses a craft backing. You know what? You guys are right. I mean, I've had this discussion with Kathy about it, and she has experimented with both. But yeah, a lot of us that do lives love these white glass mats, but sometimes the camera doesn't love it, or you're dealing with the different lights, the different lighting that you're dealing with. I'm going to add this little embellishment right here. Oh, that's so cute. So I tried to grow strawberries this year. I was unsuccessful. Not successful. First of all, my garden this year has been kind of a hot mess. I have battled the battle of deer. Even with my garden being fenced in, the battle with the deer has been unreal this year. And, you know, they ate a lot of my stuff. So I'm taking this little embellishment for the top. I'm just kind of popping this down over top and holding it. And it's going to stick up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm loving this washy watercolor effect that we've got going here. Let me pull out a little bit. So loving that washy watercolor. We've got that like raining down of leafery. Totally digging that. Now I'm going to come in. I want to add just the blossom, the strawberry blossom. I'm going to come in and do a little bit of tone on tone stamping and just kind of stamp that out. Little bit of tone on tone here. I'm going to stamp the blossom here, stamp her up here, and maybe stamp her up here. So not so much tone on tone there, but you can see we've got a little bit of that faint background. I also have this like order of threes happening. So I've got these three little blooms that are just kind of surrounding the look of that strawberry, and I'm digging that. All right, now my sentiment today, let's see, I think we're going to use the Everyday Amazing sentiment. You make every day amazing. That's if I gave myself enough room. I probably didn't. Look at that. I didn't give myself enough room to use that sentiment. So let's back up. I've got a bunch of incentives here. This is kind of one of my favorite incentives, this stamp set. So very happy for you. Look at that. Got my hair everywhere. It's your day. You make me happy. That kind of thing. Happy birthday. This would be a great happy birthday card. Oh, look, that happy birthday would fit. No, that would not fit. I really did not give myself a lot of room for my sentiment. Did I? We might have to go sentiment free. Now, I have some... Where are my... Oh, there we go. I've got some... Let's put a few sequins in here. I might have to go sentiment free with this card and just let it ride. And then, you know, can always pop it open inside and put the sentiment inside. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay. I'm going to just use the flowers that I have here and pop 3 little pieces in the centers. I hope you guys really enjoyed the release party last night. It was super fun. Lots of really great ideas. Lots of really great fall stamps. There were just so many really fun things. Just pop this back in. I think we're going to let it ride and let this be what it is. So here was the original. And I managed to get that so very happy for you. I left myself, so I concentrated that part of the design up there, but this one I kind of went this way with it. And I'm kind of digging the way it is. Kind of loving it. Okay. Yeah. I like that grass green. So this was grass green cardstock. I think that is a really great color combination. This is a little bit lighter, but I'm all right with it. I'm thinking it's good. So let's go ahead and pop to the front camera. It was a little bit of a rough go for our live today. I'm working it out, friends. Thanks so much for your patience as I'm working out all of these things. And thanks so much, Catherine, for that tip with the glass mat. I know that others have shared that with me as a possible issue. So I'm working it out. I'm working it out. So lots of really fun things happening. I will be back next week live. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. So if you are on my email list, you'll get that information to drop right into your email box. And I also will share that in the Gina K Designs group too. So no worries there if that's where you go to get your information. So I have my links down below in the description for my email list, for my Craft Your Joy community. If you're at all interested, take a look at those. I do have a free community in my classroom at craftyourjoy.com where I post other information. I post other tutorials, things that I don't post in social media because I'm never really 100% sure that everybody sees everything there. So everybody's just popping in saying, great live. Love the card. That's great. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so it has been 2 weeks since I've done the live. A little bit rusty. Thanks for your patience with the technology and some of the tips that everybody shared. So yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and close out today a little bit earlier. I managed to get this card done a little bit earlier than we have in the past. Hope you got a lot of value out of today's watercolor tutorials. And I will see you next week. Thanks, friends. Bye now.